Hello, this is Linda Vettrus-Nichols, and do I have an amazing woman to introduce you to, Chelle Shapiro. Welcome, Chelle.
Thank you so much for having me, Linda. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you. All right, so loving yourself isn't selfish. Woohoo! Well, you definitely have a story of transformation, and would love to have you share that with everybody right now, Chelle.
Yeah, I mean, it's a doozy. I'm sure it's something that a lot of people can resonate with, but for me growing up, and I'll interject some things here just to say that like I come from a very loving family. I at no point didn't realize that I felt unsupported to the extent at which it has become very apparent now.
Okay.
And I think that was always there. So I didn't come from a place of feeling unloved and unwanted.
Right.
But over time, what happened throughout my childhood and adulthood was that I was silenced a lot. I was told that I couldn't speak up. I was told that I needed to contain my emotions and like rein them in. Other
Right.
people couldn't see them. And so I thought that this was the norm.
Yes.
I began to realize, and it didn't just happen with my parents, it happened with teachers at school, thinking that I was always like raising my hand because I needed to like prove myself. But really, like, I wanted to spark a conversation. I wanted to ask questions, not always to like put my hand up and be like, I know the answer. Ooh, 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 that's me. So it came from all different areas of my life. And it built up to the point where I was afraid to speak. I was afraid to say the wrong thing. I was afraid to upset people. And I really just like turned inward.
Mm-hmm.
And it became really toxic. It didn't matter what environment I was in because I was so secluded in my own bubble and felt like I couldn't share. And so now I'm at a point where screw everybody else. I need to speak. There's a reason that I have a voice. I want to use it. And the past year or so has really all been about transformation with me and unleashing that voice so other people can learn from it too.
Cool. That's awesome. And so loving yourself isn't selfish. Like, just kind of in a nutshell, what does that bring up for you?
So many emotions, Linda. It brings up that I don't have to do things only for other people in order to find my happiness. I can do things for myself too, and that it's okay to do things for myself and to take a break and to say no to other people. It's not a selfish thing. In fact, actually it's okay to be selfish for yourself. It's not a bad thing. And so I want so many people to know that.
Yeah. What is it? There's a book, Selfishly First or something like that. It's like, oh, that's a great title. I love that.
I wish I had thought of that title.
Yeah, right. Anything else you'd like to share here on this slide?
I think let's just see where it goes, because it all comes back to this. It all comes back to my innate, deeply rooted feelings of people pleasing.
Okay.
And silencing myself. And so it's been a journey, like a real transformation of me breaking out of that bubble. So it's not just my transformation anymore. I want other people to have this transformation too.
Yeah, right. Well, do you have any memory of kind of that first time where you stepped into finding your voice, or somebody kind of did enough pushback? Yeah. What's that little story?
I mean, that for me, that defining moment was when I finally had the courage to give my notice at my previous job. I had been there for over 13 years.
Wow.
I knew that staying wasn't the right thing for me. It was a very toxic environment, but I was also still very, very much in need of healing for myself, and other people couldn't see that. I was constantly getting all kinds of just stick it out. It'll get better. Oh, this is just how it is. You have to keep doing it. And also struck with, you'll never succeed without us, from several people. And in that moment, it was the game changing moment for me. Was I never took vacations for myself. And even when I did, I was still working. So I never really could separate myself. And I was like, I didn't tell anybody. I'm just going to take 2 weeks. I'm going to take 2 weeks. I'll put it on the calendar so that at least they can't say that I didn't do it properly.
Right.
But I'm going to take this time to separate myself and slow down and see if I can slow down. And
Wow.
if I feel even the slightest bit better after 2 weeks, I called it Operation Separation. If I
Ooh.
feel even the slightest bit better, it's time. It doesn't matter what anybody says. It doesn't matter that I don't have a plan for the future yet. I need to do this.
Wow.
And the first week was so hard.
I
They were
bet.
calling me left and right. I
Oh,
was
yeah.
checking emails. I didn't want to disappoint people. But then I was able to relax a little bit. I was able to not check my email a million times a day, maybe limit myself to 2 or 3 times, and only at specific times. I set timers
Ooh, that
so
is
that I
so
couldn't
cool.
check the email.
Yeah.
It was like a rush of like, oh my God, this is what freedom feels like. This is what this is supposed to feel like. And just to like even nail it home, not much like I stuck around for like about a month because I wanted to transition out of things more smoothly instead of cutting the cord. But the greatest feeling after that was also when my mother said, "That's a really courageous move that you just made. I wish I could do something similar. I wish I could have the guts to do that." And my mother and I have never spoken like that. And so that was really a supportive and affirming moment for me to like know that I was okay. Also really eye-opening too, that like I needed that validation, but it just made me feel good in that moment.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know. Whoa, so true. So true. So what are your thoughts on that, Shelle?
I mean, come on now. How many times can you remember right off the bat where like somebody's come to you and been like, how come you didn't know that? Why didn't you know better? And this is a deeply rooted feeling for me of like, screw you. Like, how could I have possibly known what was in your head? How could I have possibly, like, if I've never been open to it before, if I've never been exposed to it to learn that, or even have like a slight inkling that that might be what you wanted, how can you expect me to know what I don't know?
Beautiful. And like the millennials are usually pretty good about the pushback on that one. But I know from my era, just take the beating, basically. It's like, oh, I should have known that, and then you start shoulding on yourself, right?
Oh yeah. It makes you really question yourself, like, why didn't I know that? Why did I let them down? And that's them projecting onto me. That's such a huge moment of realization of like, that's not on me. That's on you for not communicating better, that I should have known that. And it's really important for people to learn, but you're not expected to know everything right off the bat. You can't be. You can't. No. And you can't hold somebody else accountable and like hold that against them for not knowing something.
Yeah, and that's why I love kind of like joint venture partners or biz besties, because as you're asking for help and getting support or whatever, and someone's attempting to help you and they're not doing it your way, you're like, oh, it's very enlightening. So you've already got that bond, that friendship, because when you hire somebody, sometimes you don't know them as well, and then you're like, oh, this person sucks, and it's like, no, they don't. You just don't know how to pass what you know on to somebody else, right?
Yeah. That's huge. And that's really important too, that you said that. It makes me want to jump down a little bit to later on, but you can't, it's an adjustment period. You need to get used to the way somebody else works and communicates before you can really have that true understanding of each other. And if I hire somebody to do something for me, I hired you for a reason. I hired you for your expertise. I can't possibly like assess what you know fully on the first go round. Like
Right.
it's going to take some time to figure out. And also, if I hired you, it's because I want you to tell me what to do this well. Because you're the person that knows. I don't know, so I'm seeking the expert advice from you.
Yeah, it's like hire smarter. That's the easiest way to go. Hire smarter.
Yeah.
What is it? Hire slowly and fire quickly. Right. So lots
Oh,
of tripwires, right? You know, like in the interview process, just put in your tripwires. It's like they stall out. Like, do they like jump ahead and make a decision without you? Do they come running back? You know, that's all very interesting. As I've just watched you know, different webinars or whatever of people who are like say more advanced in their business than I am, and how they handle that. That's been interesting too.
yeah.
All right. So mistakes are just learning experiences. Yeah, I say there are no mistakes in life, only valuable learning experiences. That's my quote.
Yeah, that's a great quote. I call it failing forward.
Absolutely right.
And I say this constantly. It still ties back to you don't know what you don't know. So when you're learning something new, you're going to make a mistake. You're going to make lots of mistakes. I fail on a daily basis. For real. Like
For real though.
I wish I knew now what I needed to know a year ago.
Sure.
Like I think that came out backwards, but
well,
like
that's the beauty of having a coach or having a biz bestie who's ahead of you or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
I want to learn. I want to learn how to do something and always be better. And that's if I don't learn from my mistakes, that means I'm just gonna be doomed to keep repeating them. And that's insanity. That's the hamster wheel that you can't get off of. And so if I can like even just tweak one little thing to improve my experience and get better, and maybe I do make that mistake a few times before it's really drilled into my brain, but it's something, the process that we all need to go through, because if you're not failing forward, you're not going to move forward.
Absolutely. And that is like when I make a so-called mistake, it's like, ooh, there's money in this, because I can turn around, someone can pay me so that they don't end up making that mistake.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Someone else can learn from that for sure. Then they don't have to make that mistake.
Yep. And yep. Cool. All right. So keep fear from holding you back, right? Anytime you start something new, then there's, you know, the fear comes up and it's like new level, new devil. You just keep going through that same process. You learn to handle fear in a little bit different way each time. You just get maybe better, if you will, around that. It's still going to kick up. So, yeah, keep it from holding you back. Do it anyways. Feel fear, do it anyways. What are your thoughts on that, Shelle?
This is that imposter syndrome that always comes up, right? This is like, am I good enough? Are people going to believe that I actually know what I'm doing? And sometimes it can get in your head, and it can keep you from, it's like paralysis. You can't move forward, and sometimes you can't even figure out why.
Analysis paralysis. But you can't figure out why it's happening. You can't seem to analyze that fear.
You're dancing around that same fear, and ultimately, you still need to do it. You like get out of that comfort zone, because great things never come from comfort zones. They come from when you take a risk and do it, even when you're in fear or afraid.
Yeah, and in the healer world, it's called spiritual bypassing. You know, it's like, oh, I can't do it. I'm too afraid. It's like, no, you can still do it. You get to figure that part out. Right? Very cool. All right. So you don't need to be the smartest person in the room. And that is so true. And like, in fact, if you are like, well, let's take a coaching scenario. If you're too ahead of the person that you're coaching, you only need to be like 2 steps ahead, because it's almost like I've heard the analogy of it's like a ladder and it's going up into the clouds, you know, and if you're up too high on the ladder, like they can't even see you, let alone, you know, hear you. You're up too far, and you forget what that fear is like, or what the mistakes, if you will, that you made at that level. I don't believe the coach is anywhere near as patient if they're too far ahead of their clients, and it's super frustrating for the client. Does that make sense?
It makes so much sense. It's interesting because oftentimes I don't feel like the smartest person in the room, but I have this inkling that other people think that I need to be.
Ooh, that's interesting. Well, that it could attach to that fear too, right?
And so, and that comes from years of experience doing the same things and learning and knowing what the best solution is. And so sometimes I could see where I might jump in and insert myself so that I keep somebody from making a horrible mistake. But I'm always wanting to walk the person through that process so that they can do it for themselves and learn it too. It's not just me doing the thing for the sake of doing the thing, and then it's one and done, and boom, like you can't ever learn from that. I really feel like people always think I need to be the smartest person in the room. And really, I want people to sometimes figure it out for themselves. I can hold your hand a little bit and guide you through something that I already know, but you need to do it too. You need to I'm fumbling my words here just because. What's wrong with not being the smartest person in the room? Like, why would anybody want to? How can you be on somebody else's level if you feel and exude that you're the smartest person? You don't have to have all the answers.
Right. And then there's the saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, get a new room. Because like, how are you supposed to have any kind of personal growth when you're the smartest person in the room, right?
I would argue that I'm never the smartest person in the room because I always surround myself with people that I want to learn from.
See, there you go. Cool beans. Thank you so much, Shelle.
Thank you. That really like strikes a chord inside me. It's like I'm getting all the feels right now.
What are the feels you're getting?
The feels are a little bit of fear. Because I know I need to just keep doing it anyway. But like sometimes I'm afraid of the outcome, and also really excitement of like who now do I need to be in a room with? Who else can I put in this room that can like help me rise?
Nice. Well, the teaching just in this conversation has been phenomenal. Perfect. Thank you.
I really agree. Yeah.
Be better than yesterday. Woo! Okay, Shelle. That's always a nice challenge. And it doesn't mean like be 1,000 times better tomorrow, right? Or today than you were the day before. Just if you're hard on yourself, you can kind of stop and go, wait a minute, I wasn't able to do this yesterday, or this didn't look this good, if you will, yesterday. So what are your thoughts on be better than yesterday?
Every day is a new day, Linda. Every day is a new day to wake up and be great. And some days I just don't want to. Some days I don't want to join the party. Some days just need to be rest days, and take those days for yourself and allowing yourself to have that downtime. But I know tomorrow I can start fresh. I can always start with a clear mind and like attack the day differently. And so that you're never going to hopefully stay stuck in whatever you were dealing with yesterday. You can add on to it. You can build. So it's a growing moment. It's a learning moment for sure.
I know it helps my husband's mindset quite a bit when he can say, basically like this is a fun day or this is a down day, and can label his day. For me, I like to stay in flow. So like whatever's coming up for me, just take notice of that. And if I'm frustrated, then it's like, go for a walk. If I'm cold, it's like, put on a sweater. What do I feel like doing today? Usually I'm sitting in front of my computer and just doing nothing and allowing everything to just be. And I don't have any kind of an agenda for the day. And I just basically patiently wait for something to pop up. Sometimes being out on like LinkedIn or Facebook, or interacting and messaging with friends. I'm a manifesting generator, so, you know, it's especially the generator part's about responding. So when I just kind of snoop around my desk or even out online, I find something to respond to. And then I might go make a social media post, or I might go, you know, do some editing or work on somebody's book because I'm a book and 30-day coach or whatever. But I never put pressure on myself, and I don't have to-do lists. I have a pleasure list, and it's just certain things that are sort of in my sphere for the moment, you know, for the week or whatever. I'm not hard on myself that way. I used to have goals, and I got a lot of shame and guilt from that, living that way. So now I you know, have a vision, which is basically to be happy. and that has turned into authoring. I'm now on my 21st book, publishing 20 books, you know, working with surrounding myself with people I super enjoy, working with clients who absolutely love what, you know, the background I have and love learning from me. So yeah, it's been definitely going after the happiness quotient over perfection. And I was definitely a perfectionist. Oh my goodness. There was I ended up publishing 9 books in 1 month because it was like a compilation book and then broken up into 8 little books. And so I had 16 authors I was shepherding, if you will, and making sure I had it right for them. And then I went over just my own last edits and put them in a special file and forgot I had done that. And so the second to the last edits is what actually went out in 9 books published. It didn't affect them because I knew what their tweaks were, but I was absolutely devastated. And it's like I would let them down, and I was so hard on myself. And it's like, okay, you're at a crossroads right now. You can either let this go and be happy and know that this is the line you're drawing in the sand on your perfectionism, and release it and just focus on the happiness of it all. And I did. And wow, perfection has never had a hold on me like it did in the past going forward. So that was cool.
I'm so glad to hear that you were able to get over that. I am also a recovering perfectionist. I like will attack something and attack it and attack it and attack it until I feel like it's good enough. And you know what? Yeah. It's never going to be good enough. It's never going to be my version of perfect. So at that point, you just got to get it out there.
And those are my words now. Oh, that's good enough. I don't think my husband ever thought I'd say that.
You know what? It's so true though, because as much as we obsess over being perfect and getting that immaculate version out there, nobody else is going to know that was even a thing. They're probably not even going to realize that was ever an issue. And they're going to think that what we put out there is really good. Yeah. Because those are the people that we're attracting to our things. Mm-hmm. If they think it's really bad, that's a different story. They're probably not the right audience. But like, you got to be happy. You got to be allow yourself to have that happiness that you completed something. And if it's not perfect, so what? You'll be better the next time. Yeah, absolutely. So perfect is not the answer. And I kind of have that OCD eye, and my husband's is even better. And so I can intuitively feel something's off, something's not right, and bring him over and he spots it. And I've gotten patterned on his good eye. So I usually don't even need him anymore. And then I can feel good in my perfectionism without, like, you know, OCDing, acting it all out. Does that make sense? Yeah. And it's also a comfort that maybe you don't necessarily need him to point out the thing that's a little bit off, that it's okay. I just kind of used him until I patterned it, you know, and that was awesome. Yeah. And that feels good too. Like, I don't need him. I can do this too. Well, it's also nice to it's nice to feel needed and to have somebody else's eyes on it. Like I always say, an extra set of eyes never hurt anybody.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Because they can probably point out something that I missed. And that doesn't mean that it's not still perfect or that it's not as close to perfect as it's going to be,
Right.
but they open my eyes to think about something in a way that I maybe didn't think about.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're creating, you're using a certain part of your brain. And so that other person, when they come look at it, you know, they're not stuck, if you will, in that area of their brain, right? They're looking at it from, well, like you said, different eyes. It's like new perspective too sometimes. Yeah, that's helpful. I call him my frosting on the cake, and I'm his frosting.
And they're both good parts. So yeah, like some people just want the frosting, some people just want the cake. I want both. I can't eat one without the other because it's such like a good harmony sometimes.
Yeah. Well, we're two different people. And what I'm good at, he's not, and what he's good at, I'm not. And that's why I just kind of say he brings in that extra frosting.
Yeah, you balance each other really well.
It's nice. Yeah.
If I was to replace that perfect, and I would replace the perfect is not the answer, and say progress is the answer. Improvement is the answer.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. And that's why they say learn something new, because you learn how to not live in ego, because it's our ego that totally kicks up, goes into the fear. If we're not listening and saying, thank you, you know, it goes over, recruits our pain body. It's just like a naughty kid, you know, getting the younger sibling to cry. And it's like, oh, you're not going to listen to me. Okay. So here's 3 scenarios, 3 memories that, you know, you have where, you know, it really fell apart, and I'm trying to tell you it's really going to fall apart, you know, and it's like, whew. So when we do something new, all that stuff's going to kick back up. And what I call walk at the level of the soul, it kicks up less and less, and we really almost stop hearing the ego altogether. And the ego's great, it's fine, it's there for safety, it's important. People say kill the ego or silence the ego. It's like, no, but you just don't have to live over there with the ego, and you don't have to live in your pain body either. And yeah, there's a few tricks to the trade on that one, but I love teaching that.
I'd love to dive a little bit more into that. Like, can you tell me a little bit more about why you shouldn't give in to the ego? Like what is it about that prevents you from learning new things?
Well, if you think of the ego as a young child, would you really listen to a young child and do everything the young child told you to do?
Absolutely not. They haven't had the experience.
Exactly. The soul is here to experience the experience, and the ego is here to warn you about the future, like what might happen. Okay.
Oh, I'm so familiar with that.
So that's great, right? This might happen. And like, okay, like take it in, consider it, right? It's like the GPS. They're not accurate, right? The GPS says, you know, here's the deal, Bill. And it's like, well, I know on my car, I switch over to the phone because it's a more updated GPS, right? So you don't, like, do you just listen to just one person's opinion, or do you listen to various opinions? And some people, like, their opinions count more in your mind because there's more trust, they know you better or whatever. So like, it's kind of like the ego is just like one opinion, right? And so it's data. When we don't react to it, we can just look at it as data and consider the data and thank the ego for the data. When you don't thank the ego, that's when it goes over to recruit the pain body and brings up all the extra stuff for you to really feel what it's saying.
I've never actually thought about thanking my ego before. And probably that's why I still very much am like, all right, I acknowledge that this is what could happen. Mm-hmm. Now let's plan a scenario for all those possibilities.
Yeah, right.
And because I gotta be prepared. I gotta be prepared for every single outcome, right? So maybe if I just say thank you for alerting me to that possibility, and then I can carry on.
And you don't go all the extra work. Yeah. It's just, okay, what would make me happy? What keeps me in pleasure? And, okay, so if I do flub up, is it the end of the world? What's going to happen? Will I wake up dead in the morning? Right? Just playing the what if game. Okay, so what if that did happen? It's not so much like preparing for all of them. It's playing the what if game. Okay, well, what would I do?
Yeah. And then we'll cross that bridge if and when we get to it. I've had to restrain myself quite a bit from doing all that extra work that I probably didn't need to do.
And where were you doing that work, Shelle?
Physically or mentally?
Yeah, it's mental, right? For the most part, right?
Yeah.
Initially, right? It's so get out of your head and get into your body is what I talk about, right? My husband says, make decisions with your heart, use your soul for counsel, and your brain for storage. And I add temporary storage, right, ladies? Get it out on paper because we got way too much in our heads all the time.
And if you leave it too much in your head, then like that's what causes a lot of like
much up there.
that causes a lot of anxiety. It causes a lot of overwhelm, and it causes a lot of sleepless nights. So you're right.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Have a pad next to your bed, and whatever thoughts are happening, just jot them down. Yeah. You'll have a much better night. Okay, cool. So anything else you want to say? Like learn something new or anything else here?
I mean, I think we've already pretty much hit all the nails
right?
on the head, because
it's great.
We've talked so much about like why it's important to keep learning and evolving and making yourself better.
Who you are is okay. Woohoo! Shelle Shapiro. What do you have to say on that one?
Is it okay? I question myself on a daily basis. Am I doing the right thing? Am I going in the right direction? Am I the person that I need to be? I spent way too much time asking other people these questions for validation because I thought that's where I needed to get it from. I thought that like I needed to be who they wanted me to be.
Wow.
Sorry, skipping ahead there. But
that was a good roll-in.
I am okay with who I am, no matter whether everybody else is on board with that.
Okay.
There's so many people who are not going to be on board with this new Shelle because they're so used to me showing up a certain way and always giving myself to help others before helping myself.
So how's that going for you when you say no?
No is really hard. No is a boundary that I am still working on, but it's necessary. It really is. I spent my entire life up until a year ago doing what people told me to do.
Okay.
And now I want to do what I want to do.
Right.
I want to do something different. That's totally okay. I'm not here just to get a paycheck. I'm not living my life for the work. I'm working so that I can live my life the way that I want and do the work that I want to do, even if other people don't get it.
Yeah. So would you say you're wrapping your business around your life, creating so you have your life first, and then your business is like wrapped around your life, or vice versa, but it's all about your life.
They're still very much meshed together.
Okay.
But I'm creating work that I love so that I can have a life that I love. And so it's not a work-life balance because they're both the same. I'm working for myself now. I'm not answering to somebody else and helping somebody grow their business without knowing that I'm also growing too. Like it's not just for the other person anymore. It's me too. It's my time.
Yeah, creating a business around your life is where I was going with that.
Yeah.
So meaning as you get more clients or things get busier, what you value and what you enjoy. And it could be, it's like, it could be things from your business that you just feel like doing right now, right? So tapping into you and into the lifestyle that you're choosing to have, like how relaxed, how much sleep or whatever is all happening. And your business is growing at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's also, it's less pressure that way.
Right.
When boundaries start to form, and like proper healthy boundaries start to form, and when I can uphold them, when you can uphold them and say no to things.
Yep.
There's less pressure.
And healthy detachment from emotions too, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's like, okay, I want to take a nap right now. Sure, nothing's stopping me from taking a nap right now because that's what I feel like I need to do. So I'm going to do it.
And when you start doing stuff like that, then you get the big aha. It's like, wow, I'm like twice as productive. Like I could sit here for 2 hours, or I could go take a nap for 10 minutes, and I could sit here for 30 minutes and be done. When you start to really tap into, because like your life story, your work especially, you like didn't have those pathways in your brain. Even like you created new pathways to get to where you are right now, right? When you said about answering all the emails and you broke away for the 2 weeks and took a vacation for once.
It's freedom, that it's less pressure, it's freedom, and it's eye-opening to like experience things in a way that you didn't know was allowed and okay. And giving yourself that permission, instead of seeking the permission from somebody else. And you have that power. We all have that power to give ourselves permission to do the thing that makes us happy.
Right. And there's that. And then they take it one step further. It becomes an addiction to check your emails constantly. There's the think you have to part. And then you get rid of think you have to part. It's still an addiction because it's a very solid neural pathway. Your body's just doing it, right? You're on that subconscious level. So living more mindfully is what moves us forward with ease, right?
And I'm definitely one of those inbox zero people. Like I hate having unread emails, and it drives me nuts when I see that some people have thousands and thousands of emails that they just never get to or delete or clean
you sound
out.
like my husband.
and so it's a compulsion almost to like, all right, this is crap. It's going in the trash. All right, I need to get back to this, but I just don't like having things unread.
Sure.
And when I can step away from that compulsion a little bit and that tendency, it clears the mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't need to rely on this in order to keep doing other things.
Yeah, very cool. All right, so persevere against all odds. Oh my goodness. You're the one to tell that story, aren't you?
I mentioned earlier that I had been told that I would never be a success without certain people in my life, that I would never make it. I'm just going to come back. I'm just going to come crawling back, and I'm not going to do great things. This is all I can do, and I can only do it with this person. F that. F that. I'm that person that like, especially, and I don't like ultimatums. So for me, like if somebody tells me this is what's going to happen if you do this, or this is what's going to happen if you don't do that.
Right.
It's almost like a compulsion to do the opposite.
Sure.
And I sound like a little kid right now when I say that, like kids do the opposite of what you tell them to do or not to do.
Yeah.
But that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me like, that's a challenge right there. You just told me I'm going to fail without you. And now I'm going to make it my mission to not fail and prove you wrong.
Yeah. Just watch me. I have a friend that says, just watch me.
Like I haven't hit the go button fully yet. You haven't seen me. So you think this is me showing up here at 200%. Wait till I get to 1,000%. And like, now look, let's see who comes crawling back to who. Ooh, so I'm that person. And so many people my friends, my family, coworkers, almost all of them, if you ask them one of my top traits, everybody's going to say that she doesn't give up. She keeps going.
Okay.
Sure that she does what she says she's going to do. So
to a fault.
Yeah, to a fault. But like, even my fault is good.
Yeah, right.
Like,
but you'll like her faults.
Turn that negative into a positive. Like, what's wrong with perseverance? Like, no.
I love it. Very cool. Okay, yeah. So never give up, right? She doesn't. Yeah. And then where are we? Never give up to a fault. I mean, for me, it was 33 years starter marriage. Like, oh my goodness, getting out of that marriage a lot sooner would have been not a bad idea. So to a fault, right? Hang on to a fault. So yes, never give up. That's great. However,
at some point you realize that like it's not necessarily the healthiest. And so you persevere in a different direction. You don't need to persevere in the thing that's dragging you down.
Yeah. I reinvented myself many times. I came at it from 50 million different angles, always trying to figure out what was really the problem, what was really going on. And it just like, okay, girl, you did your due diligence, you know?
Yeah.
And go. And I can do that without the support of other people who didn't have like the same, even like religious beliefs as me. I really ended up surrounding myself with a whole different tribe of people to help sort of my mindset to be able to shift out of that marriage even. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's really it's exercise to build that muscle, to feel okay, to get out of it. Sometimes people are very quick to tell you the thing that you need to do, but you're still closed off to that idea, and so it takes time to come to that conclusion for yourself. And I think we're similar in that regard, because we might have the answer in front of us, but we haven't come to that. We haven't weighed all the pros and cons in our mind yet and out on paper. We haven't come to that full embodiment and realization ourselves that, okay, they're right. This is what I need to do. But like acknowledging that I realize that this is what needs to happen, not just somebody telling me and I do the thing.
Right.
Because who wants to just be like a body that goes along with what everybody else is telling them? I need to come to that realization that this is the right move for me. Like, yeah.
And I didn't have anybody telling me. It was like kind of the opposite. So it was all on me. So
or the people who you don't trust are the ones that chime in, and then I don't know that I trust I don't value what they're telling me, because they're not somebody that I trust with this part of my life. Right. So unless I ask for the help and or am ready to receive it, then
forget about it.
Out of sight, out of mind, almost. It's really hard to do that, but out of sight, out of mind. Keep moving.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Shelle. This has been great. I love these conversations.
Yeah, I mean, it's so great that we can really dive in and share our experiences with each other.
Yeah.
It's a teachable moment. It's a learning moment. And it kind of just like, we came full circle of being ourselves and being who we are.
Yeah.
And you're definitely one of those people that I can learn from, and opens my mind and my body up to accepting new experiences and like taking that all in. I've learned so much from you in such a short amount of time.
Thank you. Yeah. It's really fun to hear. I appreciate it.
In my inner circle. I wanna keep learning.
Aw, that's so cool. Well, I love being around strong women, and I love it when strong women allow me to reach out with compassion and they're willing to receive it. On the core passion assessment, my number one is recognition. I know what's wrong. I know what to do. My second is compassion. So I just want to do that for everybody. And then shadow of that is boundaries, right? Because not everybody wants that done, like we just discussed, right? So thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate having you be open to hearing all the things that I've gone through, and without judgment, without like telling me that what I went through is wrong, or even that what I went through is okay. You're just accepting and allowing me to tell my story, and we're building on it together. So I love that.
Good. Thanks again, Shelle.
Yeah, this was great. We should do it again.
Yeah, right? Bye-bye.